Greetings, salutations, dear friends, dear family. This is our humble attempt to hold hands in a circle together and celebrate someone who was so very important in our lives. You know, I see so many of you that, just like me, Guruji was so central in your heart. And our American Caliph, but now the Kirana East Caliph, Terry Riley, is here too, and he's going to just stay for a short time because he gave a concert yesterday for Guruji's URS, which was today in America, but he's in Japan for some 5,000 people. So, but I thought before we go there, most of you know my wife Tamam. We've been together 52 years, but I knew Guruji before I knew Tamam. So we used to call Guruji my first wife and Tamam my second wife. And in fact, a few moments after he passed away in the hospital in this date, obviously 1996, 30 years ago, I called her and said, now you're my only wife. But she wrote this very, very moving poem the very next day, which is her birthday, June 14th, 1996. So I've asked her to share it, and then we'll go over to Terry.
Poem to Guruji. In this season of nightbird songs, this beautiful early evening, I watch the deep red rose petals drop from the open flower as you go. I love you like a daughter to a loving father, knew you longer than my own mother. How can I be sad that you left this worn-out body? I weep for myself and for all of us, your blood and music children. Now at this moment, we are a composition, sweet feeling notes, one song. I feel suddenly unsure, missing your steadiness, kind of dull without your luminous wit, newly raw, lacking your soothing protection. In the words of another, now that the singer is gone, where shall we go for the song? Now that the singer is gone, where shall we go for the song?
Amen. You know, I met Guruji 1972. Terry Khan Baba, that's what I call Mr. Riley. He was already Guruji's disciple for several years, so I got a 2-for-1. I got two guides in one spell. So let's go over to Terry, and I see Sara Miyamoto is with him too. So I think you need to unmute Sara, and we're in your hands.
Ram Ram, everyone.
Ram Ram.
So wonderful to see Guruji's family all on one screen. It's amazing. I miss you all. As some of you know, I've been in Japan 6.5 years now, and we've started Kirana East here. About the second year I was here, so it's been going very well. We have about 50, 60 students that come regularly, and that many of them practice every day. And I started teaching here, but Sara has taken over the classes just because of my own personal energy lately. So she's teaching them, but there's still new people are coming all the time. So I wanted you to know that Guruji is very much alive here in Japan and very much loved by the students. They really take his music very deeply, and it's been such a pleasure to watch the music grow here with many students practicing. You want to say something, Sarah?
I actually have a class today. It was all new for this music. I have to leave here in 1 hour to go to Tokyo, and few people are waiting for the cancellation that it's overbooked right now. and I'm going to sing Raga Bhairav, the Guruji's composition Jago Jago, the very first line to those people who's going to sing Raga for the first time, and I'm going to stretch each melody lines and go really detailed and sing slowly and tell them what we are studying from Guruji in between the notes. That's a concept of this workshop today. And I'm very happy to see them receiving Guruji's idea of music in Japan. That's all I want to tell and share with you guys. Thank you so much.
And, we really hope to see as many of you as are able to make the long trip here to join us, in any of our events. And always happy. Many people have come already, and it's really great to have the American students over here. It's inspiring to see that some of the older ones have practiced for many years, and it's inspiring for the Japanese people to see that, I think, too. So please, if you can make a trip over, we'd love to see you here. Some of the people, Andrew has come.
Yeah,
George Brooks has been here a few times.
Andrew even joined my workshop too. He saw what I'm doing.
Yeah. So much love to everyone. We're going to go now. Sara has to leave to go to Tokyo, and I'm kind of worn out. But it's lovely to see you all, and keep you all in my heart, and be well, and enjoy Guruji's music forever. Ram Ram.
Ram Ram, Terry Bhai. Ram Ram, Sara. I'll see you in October, inshallah. I'm gonna put on a slideshow. If you want to, you can stay in the background and watch a few pictures and then fade away if you like. But I'm sure.
Right. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Arigato. Okay, my dear. So I thought we'll start. Is George here? I don't see George yet. No. Okay. Here we go. Let's have a slideshow, and if you show up in a picture and you want to say something about it, feel free to unmute yourself. And it should just be we're here as a family. I feel like we should feel like we're in the same room. And so this is a picture of Guruji before I knew him. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Also before I knew him in India as a younger man. I think this was his passport photo. I think when he first came, maybe this was his passport photo. So here he is with the younger Terry Riley and Anne Riley. Probably around 1980, I think. This was actually at Tamama 1976 at our wedding. This is
Wow.
before his heart attack, or cardiac arrest, I should say. Here he is at Mills College. Thanks to Terry, Guruji taught a master's class at Mills College for many, many, many years. And many of you who are here on this screen were in that class, and you could speak to it. This is now in India at the tomb of Ustad Abdul Wahid Khan Chichti Sarbri, Guruji's guru. This would be 1976. A pretty uncared for grave, but every time I was there with Guruji, we'd try to go there. This is at Terry's loft in North Beach. Just two happy men. Yeah. Wow. So this is in our living room in Marin County. Would be between 1976 and 1980. We were singing together. And this is on the porch of that same house. So there's our son Solomon, who had so it must have been like 1978. Guruji playing with him. There's Terry in the background, but this is with Joe and Gwen Miller. This is in our kitchen, but so would have been after 1984. When I first started studying with Guruji, Joe even came to one of the classes because he wanted to be sure I was safe. And they became very, very close friends. Here we are. I think this is in Palo Alto. I think Chet arranged this concert. Chet Wood, who's here on the screen in the group.
No, not actually. That's my initiation by Guruji in 87.
Okay.
And that's my studio up on the hill.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, and there I was. I felt I was in the company of heavies beyond my reach, but that was probably the way I should have felt. And so it was a great day. There's one thing I don't understand about that day. In the ceremony, there was the coconut, and nobody has been able to explain that to me yet.
Good. I don't have any answer. Okay, here we are in India. You know, we went to India so many times together. We would have these very ambitious programs where you'd have a raga class before breakfast, a raga class after breakfast, an outing, afternoon raga class, evening concerts. And here we are at with Sri Karunamai, Guruji's disciple, at the Aurobindo Ashram for a visit. Here we are. So I want to say out loud, love and blessings to the journey of our dear Michael Harrison, sitting to my left or right on the screen, who passed away. I think most of you know that a month or two ago. Here we are at Hazrat Inayat Khan's Dargah. There's Sangeeta, Molly, Kafia, Terry Riley, Michael and I, and Guruji in the middle at Inayat Khan's Dargah. Sheila Dar, one of Guruji's disciples, she stayed with us in our home at one point and sang for us, and they lost out because Guruji came to the West in 1970, and then he devoted his time to us. And Rick Masterson, he's here too on the screen. That's Rick. Obviously, you see the rest of us. Here we are. when Guruji was a young man, he said, I mean, I don't want to tell his story, most of you know, but his he started studying music as a young man, but by the time he turned 13, his father was no longer alive. His grandfather said, and his mother said, "I want you to go to England for studies." And he said, "I don't want to leave music." And they said, "Either you follow what we say or you're out of the house." And he became a vagabond at 13. And he was studying with a musician named Vedaji. But then by 15, he met his guru, who we just saw his grave, Ustad Abdul Wahid Khan Chishti Sabri. And by 19, he was singing on the radio, All India Radio, and that was a mark of a musician. And then he met a Swami in Hardwar, Swami Narayan Giriji, and Swami Narayan Giriji was the keeper of these caves called Tapkeshwar, just outside of Dehradun. And Guruji decided to become a Naga Baba and lived there for 5 years, with pretty much no possessions, singing by the stream. And he said once a month he had a job at All India Radio in Delhi, and he'd sing the concert there, and he'd make enough money to live for the next month. And on the way back, he'd visit his guru, and then he'd go back to the cave. And this was a visit to the cave. I don't remember the Baba's name on the top right. And then in the middle is his wonderful disciple who gave us so much, Jagdish Mohan. And on the left side is also his disciple. I don't remember his name. Here we are in La Sagrita in Delhi, where we had many raga classes. So most of you know that 1978, Guruji fell. He had an ear infection, and I called my friend Dutch Knapp, Dr. Knapp. That's who you're looking at, and said, "Dutch, Guruji needs some treatment." He said, "Just bring him by the hospital." He was the head of the emergency room at Marin General, and Dutch treated him they cleaned out his ear and gave him some medicine and said, "I want to see him in 2 weeks." And so the 2 weeks were up, and I said to Dutch, "Would you like us to come to you?" And he said, "What would be the most mannered way?" And I said we would go to his house. And we went to Guruji's house, and at that same house you saw with Terry Riley in North Beach. And when we got there, Guruji looked very, very, very pale, and his arms were clammy, all the signs of cardiac event. And Dutch said, "Let's take him to the hospital." And I got on the phone and called Terry, come meet us at the hospital. Terry was teaching at Mills. And then Guruji fell dead into Dutch's arms. And Dutch did CPR for 13 minutes. I met the ambulance down below. The medics, they walked in, and Dutch is yelling out orders, and I'm pleading with them, "Please listen, he's a emergency room physician." And they did, and they gave him a shot of lidocaine and defibrillated him, and he was alive again, but not conscious. And we put him on a gurney. They put him on a gurney, and as we're wheeling him out down the stairs, Dutch, he's tapping him on the cheek, "Guruji, Guruji," and Guruji came back to consciousness and looked at us, and he said, "I was in Shirdi Sai Baba's lap, and you dragged me back here." So this was his savior, Dutch Knapp, Dr. Dutch Knapp. He's still alive. Here's Guruji at the Heartland, the Ozark Sufi camp. He still liked to have Beaujolais red wine every night with dinner, and they served him very beautifully. Here he is a little bit earlier. We're at Mendocino Sufi camp. He came to Mendocino Sufi camp, and he said to me, "I've been to the many Kumbh Melas, but this much love in one place I've never seen." So there's Tamam playing tambura, and we're singing together. I think we were singing Putt Deep, and I'd never learned Putt Deep, and he kept saying to me, "Okay, you sing now." So uh, here we are down in Santa Cruz. Guruji was invited to share the stage with Pir Vilayat Khan, Hazrat Anand Khan's son. I was there as a helper for Guruji's broken English. Here they are together. So they were, Guruji, I think, was a year younger than Pir Vilayat. They were the same generation. This is when we took Guruji to Hawaii. We were on Maui. He had this beautiful clothing at that time, that peach color. It was a beautiful time. He loved going there. He loved going to Eo Valley to listen to the water, and reminded him of living in the caves. Here we are with Andrew Garling, who I saw on the screen too. We're in Bhaktapur. This is the year we made the movie about Guruji, In Between the Notes. You know, that was due to Andrew and all his connections, and Jim Newman, thanks to them. The only time I've been in Nepal, that time, I think it was 1986 or 1985. Here we have, I wanted to put in a picture of Michael Harris, and what a great musician, and dedicated to the musical notes, and loved Indian classical music, practiced every day of his life. I'm sure he's still singing. Okay, so maybe this is the one that's
Lama.
no, this is I think it's someone's house in Palo Alto.
That would be Aladdin's studio again.
It still is? Okay, so I kept thinking that was the concert that Chet had arranged, but I guess this is your studio. Okay, good, because it has that same window. So we wanted to make a tribute concert for Guruji while he was still alive. And Zakir Hussain, Ustad Zakir Hussain, joined us and performed by himself. The Kronos performed. Guruji sang. You know, we accompanied him.
San Francisco.
Yeah, and you know, you should. It's remarkable that Guruji and Ustad Zakir Hussain's father, Ustad Allah Raka, or Abaji as we call him, were childhood playmates. And Guruji was there when Zakir was born, and both Allah Raka was very sick at the time, and he was healed by a teacher that they both had named Baba Gyani, who gave Zakir his name. So when Guruji told me, and Zakir confirmed that when Zakir was 12, Guruji needed a tabla player to accompany him on a singing tour, and Zakir traveled with him. And here's the same day the Kronos Quartet setting up to play. This is in San Francisco at the Unitarian Church. I don't know where this is, but there's Krishna Bhatt, you know, the great sitar player, and it was always wonderful to have his company and his wisdom and his contribution, and Andrew Garling and Terry Riley. Andrew, where are we? Oh, okay. With Karunamai in India. This is at his house in Berkeley. So that's his wife, Kafia, and his daughter Shashi. Andrew and two of his sons. This is in our backyard. We used to be the Marin Dharma study group, so that's Lama Dujam Dorje, and Guruji, I think, was living with us at the time. So yeah, here they are together. We had the privilege of singing for the late Kalu Rinpoche. He was actually Guruji's senior and a very awakened master. And this was getting his darshan. So, one of my favorite pictures of Guruji. This is him in India. with his dog Rocky. I think George took these pictures. This is in Guruji's home. The India Archive in Delhi asked Guruji to come and tell some stories and then sing, And that's Rick on the left, Rick Masterson. He's here too. A very devoted disciple. He was at that time together with Rose, and both of them took such wonderful care of Guruji. And actually, they were in the hospital with him when he started dying. So we're taking Guruji back to Tapkeshwar. He no longer is capable, to the caves where he lived. He's not capable of walking up the stairs. So I don't remember the German man's name. But that's Rose and Samuel Kahn.
I think his name is Sancho. Does that sound?
Sancho. That's right. Hey, good. I'm glad to hear you're here, George.
Yeah.
And there's Rose. And so Guruji's guru, Ustad Abdul Wahid Khan's son, Hafizullah Khan, a Sarangi master, and his son is that young boy, Samuel Khan, who's now obviously in his 40s, also an accomplished musician. So, Guruji born Hindu, the tradition is to cremate, but him being in the Sufi tradition, Chishti Sabri Sufi lineage, he wanted to have a grave, and he had told me this. He wanted his grave inscribed with Ghulam of Chishti Sabri. That means slave of the great Chishti master Alauddin Sabir. And he said, I don't want Pandit on my grave. I want Pran Nath. And so I had made this, but then the family wanted, so he was cremated and on the banks of the Ganges. Cremated here, but then ashes put there. This is really quite amazing when, let's see, I'll tell the story when we can see each other, but here's in his living room, lying on the floor. That is the end of the slideshow. His passing was extraordinary. Rick and Rose were at the hospital. They called us and said, it looks like he's on his way. It was a Thursday. Obviously, it was the 13th of June. I was working in my store in San Francisco. I drove across to the East Bay. I think it was Alta Bates where he was. And gradually, 13 of us are there with him as he's having his last moments. And the amazing thing is his disciple, Sri Karunamayi, flew in from Delhi and arrived in time to be with Guruji when he passed. And he had a defibrillator and a pacemaker that were keeping him alive, and they weren't allowing him to leave the body. They were breathing him, so to say. And finally, around 6 o'clock, his cardiologist arrived. He was a friend of Hayat Olivier, who just passed away a month ago. And so I right away asked him, could you turn these two machines off so he could go? And he got two very strong magnets. I think his name was Clark. And put the magnets on those two devices, and they stopped. And his breathing became very, very peaceful. And you'd have to imagine, here's his hospital bed, and the 13 of us are ringed around his hospital bed. Sheshi, his daughter, was there. Karunamai was there. Rick and Rose were there. I don't remember who else. As soon as these machines were stopped, he opened his eyes. He looked at the first person. I think I was the first person of the circle, and maybe Sheshi was the last. He looked, gave me darshan, looked to the next person, looked to the next person, looked to the next person, one by one, till everyone had received darshan. And without even closing his eyes, he put his head back and he was out. And it was so subtle that Sri Kurnamai and Sheshi, they didn't even realize he was gone. I was out in the hall discussing with the nurses. I said, we'd like to take his body back to his home. And they said, what do you mean? Guruji's not dead. And he was passed. He had passed. It was at 6:26. So we're almost exactly at the right time, an hour from now. And he passed at 6:26 p.m. And I to this day don't know why they let us, but they let us take his body. We carried his body into the car and drove it back to his house, washed his body, put him in a nice quartet, laid him on the floor in his living room, and then for 2 days, people would come and have darshan. It was so extraordinary. Okay, so I don't want to talk anymore. I've taken a lot of time. George, come on, let's hear from George Brooks.
What would you like to hear, Shabda?
Anything, music, story, what it's just you're with a family of lovers of Guruji, and whatever you like to do.
I'm here with Emily, and then lots of Karuna students. We're here with Prem Sheila, who was at the ashram with Karunaji, and she's teaching now a lot of Karunaji's legends to all these beautiful people who are here as well. And I got to meet Guruji because Emily G was at Mills College studying with Guruji and Terry, and she got a Watson Fellowship to go to India, and I went with her, and Guruji, well, he enjoyed my company for a couple of reasons. This was about 2 years after his heart attack.
He used to call you Ada Doctor, half doctor.
But I had been pre-med before I'd gone to the music conservatory. So for him, that was enough to make me half a doctor. And so he felt some sort of extra comfort that somehow I would help keep him alive. But I would also cook for him without salt, which was something that was very difficult to find somebody in India who would make food without salt. And I would massage him. He liked my massage. And I knew how to sit quietly, which is something that he also liked.
Unlike me.
But, and of course, many, many adventures, but the one I like, that's kind of remarkable to me is after we'd gotten to know each other a little bit in Delhi, he wanted to go to Mumbai to, among other things, he wanted to visit Alaraka and Khan Sahib, Zakir's father, in his home. He wanted to visit the film composer O.P. Nair, and I think they were all from Lahore. They were childhood friends. And then another person who was a painter whose name I don't remember. And I had gone ahead to Mumbai, then Bombay, actually. Emily was down at Mother Krishnabai's ashram in Kerala. And I met Guruji at the airport, and he had arranged for me to stay at a what you'd call a hostel, a very inexpensive, simple place in central South Bombay. And I was staying in this little room with a charpai, one of those single beds that's made out of like jute, right? It's just cords. And we had booked a room for him at a hotel. And I don't remember the name of the hotel, but I picked him up at the airport. He said, I want to see where you're staying. We went back to my room, and he said, "How much is this room?" I said, "It's 25 rupees." And he said, "How much is the hotel?" I said, "It's 250 rupees." And he goes, "Oh, well, then I'll stay here." And I'm like, "But Gurji, there's only one bed, and it's like one single bed." He goes, "Not a problem. This is India." And so that first night, and I was really new to getting to know Gurji. We were sleeping like in this bed, lying very still next to this very serious man with a beard. And at 4 a.m, somebody's shaking my shoulder, and Gurji saying, "Are bhai, chai lao, go find me some tea." And I was like, at 4 a.m, where am I? How am I going to do this? Went down on the street, and of course, because it's India, there's a little boy holding like 6 cups of tea, hot tea. And I guess I gave him a few paisa, brought it up to the room. We drank tea, and he goes, "Okay, courage karo." And I was like, and that was the launch pad. That was the beginning of our journey together. So that's my part of the tale.
How about you, Emily? Did you bring your saxophone, George?
I have a small saxophone.
I just want to say
Okay.
that when you were telling me, Shabda, about when Guruji had his heart attack, it so happened on that day, I had heard that Terry taught at Mills College, and I was at San Francisco State at the time, and I was just amazed that he was in the Bay Area. So I went across to Mills College to meet Terry and maybe think about going to Mills. When I got there, he was running out of the building. I mean, I saw him for a moment running out of the building, and someone said, "Guruji has had a heart attack." So I was there that day. I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't know Guruji. I didn't know Terry. I didn't know anyone. So I just was brought into the moment.
Wow.
But yeah, Guruji, I mean, I was so blessed. And Guruji was the one who told me to study with Karunadidi and go to Sri Aurobindo Ashram, and such a magical time. We met Zuleika there, and Fusako came at some point. We met her. Fusako's, now over 90. So it's beautiful to see so many people in this family, as you say. It's beautiful.
Wow. Well, it was actually, just so everyone, it wasn't a heart attack, cardiac arrest. He was dead.
Oh, cardiac arrest. I was there at I mean, the look on Terry's face, I never will forget, just the anguish, and the fear.
Oh yeah, he came to the hospital. I met him downstairs to take him to Guruji's room, and he were in the elevator, and he's going, "I don't feel so good," and I said, "Terry, get it together. Don't tune into your guru that way." Yeah. I'd asked Michael Sterling to share with us. Michael.
Thanks, Shabda. Can everybody hear me?
We can, yes.
Thank you. I thought that I would have the self-confidence to sing today, but there are so many amazing singers here. I should be last if I sing at all. There's so many extraordinary vocalists here. Really touching to me. I often think, I look at photographs and papers, the raga, when you're sitting in a lesson. I learned how to play tambura and then have a pencil and paper next to me so I could write while I was playing, so I could remember what was going on. Such a touching experience. Listening to Shabda now and Terry, and actually hearing Terry sing a little bit before the larger group came in. Really touching, really powerful. Um, so
That's
maybe,
great. That was Guruji singing. That was Guruji singing Darbari.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Um, so maybe if you will, I'll just tell. I'll try and be brief, but I'll tell two little quick stories. Partly because this is the 30th year, and there's a lot of discussion of those days when he was hospitalized and when he was laying in state at his house. I wasn't at the hospital. I came the next day. Rick rang me up and said that I should get there. And so I hopped on a plane and I came down. Probably got to Guruji's house about midday. And, it was really amazing. It was like he was alive in a way, because he was laying in state in his house and so many people had come. You could see in that photograph, he was, he was like a garden. He was covered in flowers. Do you remember that? It was amazing. And people were sitting and meditating and playing tambours and incense was billowing. And I'd look around the room every now and then on both the days where we were there. And I just I was like a cavalcade of extraordinary human beings came through that room, and it just really impressed on me, like how does a person like me fall into this? It's really incredible. So anyway, time passes, and because the windows were open, I guess the coroner or the doctors or whoever recommended that they leave the windows open in the house, where in Gurji's living room, so that he would be cool. And so during the couple of days, his beard would flutter in the wind, and his face changed. You could see a little bit in that picture that you showed. His face changed so that he was smiling. What? Do you remember that? It was incredible. So then the guys who were coming in the van to pick Guruji up and drive him to the cremation place, everybody's getting ready, and the time comes, and there's a gang of people. I think Terry, Shabda, Lamont, Rick, I don't remember who else was helping to carry the body down to the street. Uh, but Lamont had been playing tambura, and I was standing there kind of wanting to be helpful. He turned to me, gave me the tambura, looked me right in the eye, and he said, "Keep playing and don't stop." So I kept playing his Guruji's black tambura and followed them down the stairs, out the door, down to the street. They put his body in the van. I'm standing there playing tambura, and they drive away. Rick was still there with me, though, and I went, "Hey, wait, we gotta go." So I ran up and put the tambura back in the house, and Rick and Rose and I drove over to the cremation place. And that moment where Lamont he wasn't fierce, but he was like, you gotta do this. It was really a potent moment. It was really incredible. It was a powerful experience. That whole couple of days was very, very powerful in so many ways. Hard for me to even say, put into words. So, uh, as I said, there are so many. I mean, I can see your faces here. There's so many amazing, extraordinary people here. I should be like the last guy, if at all, right? And but we have what we have, and uh, it's sincere, and I work on it, and I've worked on it all these years too, like Rick, like Rose, like folks here. We used to have such a cool thing going on in Portland. It was really awesome. Terry came to Portland for 12 years after Guruji died. He didn't spend that much time in any place else teaching raga. We were really lucky. Thanks to Rick and Rose who helped to put all that together. We'd have classes and concerts and stuff. I forgot what I was talking about. Anyway. Oh, I know. So at some point after Guruji passed, um, he said to me, "Now you have to teach." And I was like, "Whoa, that is not what I wanted to do at all." I was kind of dismissive of teachers when I was a young person, and of course I was had become Guruji's disciple, and that experience changed my life, um, and my attitude about teachers obviously changed dramatically. Uh, but in our world, you have to do what you're told, right? And so I had to think about that because my goal in starting with him after the first class we took at Rick's house in Portland, my goal was to figure out how to figure it out. And so through all my lessons with both Guruji and Terry, I thought, well,
Those are chickens in the background. He's got
yeah,
chickens.
sorry about that. We're on the farm here.
Okay, but come
The ducks
around because I want to give a
by.
lot more people a chance.
Anyway, we had a great time. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. It's all good. You know what I'm talking about. Um, Thanks for allowing me to be a part of our family, and it's really touching to me and really moving. It brings tears to my eyes to see everyone.
Thank you, Mike.
Dhanyavad, as they
Thank
say.
you. So, I see Molly and Zuleika, Wendy Garling, Basira, Joe and all of you close, very, very close. And if any of you want to say a few words or share something, feel free. Uh, go ahead, Zuleika.
Yeah. Well, I've told this story before, but Aladdin's here, I think, so I'll tell it just short version. We all have so many ways that Guruji helped us along, and being a dance person in the family, and dance is part of the science of music, but Guruji really made an effort so many times to include me very specifically and embarrassingly, and all the ways that he did. We all have so many memories. One memory is after his whole cardiac episode. I was teaching at the abode, and he was staying there, and then Aladdin was there, and we did a concert one night. But before the concert, Guruji would follow my students around and ask them what I taught them that day. And I remember I was teaching them Tintal, and he would make them do it to see how I was doing. He was checking on the students to see how I was doing, and that was, humiliatingly cool, very cool. And Aladdin, we had done the evening together, and I hadn't told anyone, but for a few years, I was working on dancing the alap part of a raga, so I would listen to the notes and become the notes, and it was just a private practice that I was doing for a long time. It's nothing that I learned from anyone in dance. It's just something that I feel and felt, and Aladdin said he would play a Bach prelude and fugue, and so that I could dance it, and I danced it from the point of view of the notes, rather than doing a dance of the Bach prelude and fugue, and it was a very deep experience for me, and afterwards I walked outside, and there was Guruji. He always was standing in that regal, as Shabda said, the peach-colored, flowing kurta and his hat, but not that. It was his presence, the nobleness of his presence. And he looked at me very deeply, and he said, "I saw the notes." And I burst into tears because I hadn't told anyone that I was working on that. And I don't know if you know that story, Alaudin, but Anyway, that's a little story I can share.
That's
That's
a
how he
big.
would end every concert. This much I can do for you. Yeah. Wendy, Molly, Basira, no need to speak if you don't want.
I'll say a few things, Shabda.
Oh, yeah, Wendy, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Um, I think of Guruji every day. I just have to say that. And I've never stopped missing him. Um, and I'll just briefly tell my story and the story of my family with Guruji. I think I met him about 1980, I'm guessing. Andrew and I had just moved to Berkeley. We didn't have kids, but we'd gone to Sufi camp and we'd met Bashist Davenport among everyone else, including Shabda and Tamam and so forth. Um, and at some point, I think, and Andrew can correct me, but Andrew had said to Bashist, I really want to learn Indian music. So the next thing we knew, we were being told we were having lunch at our house, and it was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And Guruji was going to come. And so Andrew and I, just went crazy trying to get all the food together and pull it together. We made this big banquet. And next thing we knew, at the time of the luncheon, Terry comes with Guruji, and we'd never met Terry. And Antonia and Nicola came with Alaraka, and Hamza al-Din came with Fascist. And suddenly this lunch just elevated into this amazing event. And we didn't know, at least I didn't know who anybody was, but I just felt this blessing of all these people. I could feel it in our house. And, I was just silently serving food and welcoming everyone. And these three elderly men were so thrilled to see each other. And I don't know the connection with Hamza al-Din, but they all knew each other. And it was the joy among them was really palpable, even though they weren't, speaking a language I understood. So that was the beginning. And after that, we started seeing Guruji very often. He lived in the basement apartment in our home until he bought his own home in Berkeley. And throughout the 80s, he became very close. At that point, we had children. He became very close to our family and to our boys. And then we moved to to Marin, and still we would go over about once a week and have dinner with him. And he had the TV on, we'd be cooking, and he always gave a lesson.
Wheel of Fortune.
I was going to save that part, but yeah, it was Wheel of Fortune every night. And we'd sit around on the floor, this little tiny dining room, this little tiny table, and there were guests. I mean, Shabda would come, Terry would come, probably George and Emily. I don't remember everybody, but it was kind of a drop-in dinner. And about once a week, if he was in town and we were in town, it was really wonderful years. And I was never a music disciple, but I was immersed in the music all the time. I had a different practice, and I loved the raga. And oh, yeah, India when he was on tour and Terry was there. Anyway, then we moved to Georgia, and Guruji came and stayed with us twice because by that time we had a third child and he wanted to meet our third son. So the family feeling really continued. And I remember very vividly the day he passed. Mom called me, and I was in Atlanta. Then we were living in Atlanta, and told me, and I believe Andrew was already in the Bay Area. But I remember putting the phone down and turning to the babysitter who was in the house and saying, I have to fly to San Francisco tonight. Can you handle the kids? And it happened that quickly. And she just said, yes. So I was on the next plane I could get on and spent those wonderful 2 days in Guruji's house with all the blessings. And Lamont and Marion came, I remember very vividly. And it was so spontaneous, the energy of singing and silence and love. And I also remember how beautifully George really kind of took care of everybody. He was very nurturing, and I want to say that too, George. I'll never forget that. You were kind of quietly just making sure everything was completely correct and taking care of not just Guruji, but all of us. And I remember when Guruji was taken down to the van that Michael mentioned. And then, of course, we all went to the cremation and said our last goodbyes. And just at that moment, Guruji's other daughter came bursting in the door, and then it was time. And then we finally said goodbye. But that was a huge part of my life, and I still feel him. I still see his photos, and I can feel his breath, and I miss him, and I love him every day.
Shabda, on Wendy's note, Wendy and I were just talking, I think yesterday, that one of the gifts Guruji gave us is the word anyway, and how to use it when you're in a sentence with people and you need to change things. You say, anyway, and we learned that from
Anyway.
This is for Wendy also. Wendy, I have a photograph of Guruji blessing your newborn somewhere, and I couldn't find it today, but I will, through Shabda, I'll make sure that it gets to you.
Oh, thank you, Alaudin. I'd love that. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'd
there's
like to,
so much family here. Yes, go ahead, Emil. What do you want to say?
I'd just like to add something. I wasn't as close personally with Guruji, but I had the honor, really it was the honor in some point after he bought his house in Berkeley. I took a class there from him, a raga class. And I won't say that it changed my life, but it changed my ear forever.
What's
And it
the
was
difference?
one of the it was and it was one of the profound teachings, teaching and learning opportunities that I had in my life, certainly in my musical life.
Wendy, I wanted to add something. I think actually when Emily and I came back from that year in India, we lived at your house
Okay.
for like a month, maybe.
Maybe a month,
Yeah,
yeah.
for
In the downstairs.
same downstairs.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. It was a
And
long
thank
time
you.
ago. I remember Zakir gave classes down there too. We sort of used that as a
Yeah.
offering space. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and also seeing Andrew here. In India, doctor is called Dr. Saab, but most of you know that one of the best dishes in India is spinach called sag. So Andrew, his endearing name was Dr. Sag, and he took medical care of us. He was our best doctor. We were, you know, after so many years. Andrew, you have anything you want to say to us?
Well, I thoroughly enjoy everyone's memories and good feelings and good heart about our teacher. I think the one thing I'll add, and Wendy, thank you for such a tour of our times with Guruji. But the one thing I'll add, and we've talked about the cardiac event, and then finally the time in his home, watching him move to the other spaces. Out at the crematorium, we had a fairly dramatic moment. We were gathered around, and I think there was some Brahmin kind of doing some puja stuff, and it was
That's right. I remember that. It
yeah,
was like,
we were kind
quiet down.
of
He doesn't want that. Yeah.
yeah,
He was correcting the raga singing.
right. And so at
Oh
some point,
gosh, I remember that.
they talk about the behind the curtain, and the curtain drew apart, and we wheeled Guruji in. And I remember also that Terry and I think maybe Shabda, we were picking out his coffin, and we ended up, the mortician wanted to sell $1,000 pearl line, something, and we ended up with a cardboard box because that's what we knew Guruji would want. I mean, it was maybe had some nice painting
Nice
of it.
cardboard.
It was a cardboard. And so we wheel this in, and there is the crematorium. And I don't know how many have seen this up close, but it's a large machine, and Guruji was wheeled into it, and the door shut, and we're now wailing and crying, all of us, and the fire starts. You can see it through a window. And it's not like we're appearing, but there's the flame. And this became a fairly strong moment for all of us. And I remember that I turned and walked out to the outside. This is in, I don't know, north, and it doesn't matter. And the eucalyptus trees outside the moratorium were waving. And Nataraj, who I don't think is here with us, wonderful guy, he and I walked out together, and it was just standing there on the steps and watching the trees. And we realized that there was the smoke coming out of the moratorium. The smoke was mixing, it's like Sunhai, the raga, the high in the trees. And I was thinking that Guruji had, when he taught Asavri, he taught the shloka that it was like the smoke from the ghats going up. And I think Terry even said that in Between the Notes movie. And I looked in Nataraj, and I looked up, and the smoke was just drifting up into the blue sky. It was a wonderful moment to know that he was moving on, but he was still with us. So that's my little tale.
Mm. Thank you, Dr. Sag. Thank you. I don't want to make this too long for everyone. There's so many of you here that we could tell stories for hours and hours. How about if Alaudin, you play a couple notes, I'll sing a few notes, and then we'll call it a complete.
Okay. I have two very short stories I'd like to tell, very brief. Before I do, here's a picture of Guruji in meditation before a concert. Here's another of him after a lesson I took from him, looking out of the blinds in Berkeley where he lived.
Can you make Alaudin be full screen?
Yeah.
And here's a very, very happy moment, also taken in Berkeley. I was taking a lesson in Berkeley with Guruji, and he was very patient with me. I wasn't the greatest singing disciple, but he knew what I was up to, and he was extremely patient. And he played, he sang the same phrase over and over again. I couldn't get it, and I was getting a little despondent. And I put the tambura down, and I said, Guruji, I'll never get this. And Guruji said, how old are you? And I said, I'm 57. And he said, oh, still a young man. And I repeat that story to my students. When Guruji died, I got a call, come to the hospital now. And I went, and Guruji had died 17 minutes before I got there. And when I entered the room with Devi, I saw silver light streaming from his forehead. it was the most amazing thing I had ever seen. From his third eye, silver light was streaming out like a comet. And just then, Terry, who was also late, rushed in, and they met like that in the light. At the time, I thought that was I couldn't believe it was so supernatural, so surreal, that I couldn't quite get it. But now, it just seems completely natural to me. So I'll play a little music out. You gonna sing in C, Shabda?
I'm going to sing. I'm going to sing a little bit with the raga. I mean, with the tambura afterwards. So just
What
you play.
what key?
Oh, I'll be singing in C.
Okay,
Key of
good.
C.
Okay.
I'm going to sing. Yeah, go ahead. Carry on. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Just I'm looking at this screen. I just want to recognize so many of you, Joan and Steve, who did so much to support Gurji's life, and Rick Masterson, what a wonderful musician. And Guruji's grandson is here, Siddharth. I want to just shout out to Siddharth and Chet Wood. You were in the classes at Mills College, and yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. So I learned this composition from Guruji. I think some of you know it. It's in rag Tilang. He said it was a folk rag. I thought it. So the first part, maybe I'll just sing only the first part. He said this was very, very old composition. He taught it to us without any rhythm. Basically, the words are Allahu. It says that the sound of Allahu is coming from the hut of the fakir. Allahu La lahu diavaz ave fakir division Allahu Allah Allahu diavaz ave kulli ve fakir division Allahu. Then he taught us the composition Tave Himanjulerasa na Tave Himanjulerasa na Tave Murti mantra sangita sadhana manjule rasa na tavehi alokika madhuri sabasuka sujana Deyate ho to me tana raga lapamu rachana manjule. If you keep Saraswati's name on your tongue, all this music will come. The music will come into your heart. Manjule rasa. Na atave himanjule rasa na. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. 30 years. We haven't seen him in his body for 30 years, and he's so present in our heart, so completely present in our heart. Nobody knew him as long as he's been gone. Even Terry did. Terry met him in 1970. He died in 1926 years. I had 24 years. He's been gone 30 from this body. And still right here with us. And thank you all for being together and holding hands in this circle of love and remembrance and blessing. God bless you all.
Thank you for gathering us, Shabda.
Oh, yeah. And as Guruji used to say, this much I can do for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Siddhartha.
Thank you.
Siddharth, God bless you.
Thank
All
you
of
so
you.
much.
So what? Oh, there's Sibel. I didn't. You just showed your picture, Sibel. Hi, Sibel. Are you in Korea? Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, George. Thank you, Alaudin. Thank you, everyone who shared with us, and so many thanks to Shakti. She's on my top left of my screen, but she's making the whole thing work, and she's recorded it so we can put it up on YouTube and people can see if they weren't here. Okay, my dears. Hari Om, Hari Om, Ram Ram. Ram Ram.
Thank you.
Yahoo!
You beautiful beings.
Thank you for those beautiful sounds, Alaudin. They sound familiar, yet new. I remember when my mother was passing away 40 years ago, she loved your recording Available Light and played it over and over again.
Are we good? Have a beautiful day.